You may have seen my video sharing that I got my first period after 6 years of amenorrhea. If you've been following me for a while, you know that I previously struggled with anorexia and then an ongoing eating disorder, and I had lost a period for 6 years, and that was something I've been working on getting back. I've been meaning to do a Q&A because I've been getting lots of questions ever since my video sharing that I got my period back. So this is a little bit of a long awaited video for some people. I did put on my Instagram story, so I'm just going to be looking at my phone. Apologies at how sick I sound. I am sick. I'm very excited to answer these questions. There's quite a lot of questions, so I'll go through as many as I can. I'll try my best not to ramble. So the first question is, did you have a bone scan? So I actually did have a bone scan about 18 months ago now, the very beginning of last year. So this was before I fully committed to just like getting healthy, getting a period back, gaining weight, getting strong again, which I spoke a lot about how 2022 was my butterfly year. I called it that because it was the year I like committed. Like I'd been trying to recover for quite a few years, and it is a slow process, so it was all part of the process. But last year was the year that I feel like I made leaps and bounds and I recovered. So yeah, before that process, at the beginning of last year, I'd got a bone scan and I had osteopenia, which is before osteoporosis. So it's like, it is compromised bone health, lower bone density than what is healthy, which surprised me. Because of running and my sport, I had so much impact training, like hurdling. I was constantly like hitting the ground hard. Because of that, that is the best stimulus to lay down bone tissue. They always say like resistance training helps build bone strength. I remember reading a paper in my undergrad, the best way to lay down bone tissue is impact, because that's the stimulus to lay down more bone tissue. However, it is also the stimulus that can break bone tissue if you don't adapt correctly. I thought that would have helped me have better bone density, but obviously my amenorrhea, lack of a period, and being underweight trumped that. So obviously you need to be a healthy weight to not be breaking down body tissue, including bone tissue. And then a period, you need the hormones as well for laying down bone tissue and not breaking it down as well. I had weak bones, and bone density peaks at 30, so I knew, okay, I had like 8 years to fix that. But obviously you don't want to wait, and you need more time to lay down more bone tissue, yada yada yada. Anyway, I haven't had a bone scan since then, but now that I have a cycle and I eat a lot of dairy and calcium, I would assume that I have healthy bones now. So how many calories do you think are needed? Question mark. This is something, and I've spoken about this a lot, and most people know this, and this person probably might know this too, but they just like, you know, like you can know and you still just want to know. When I was not truly recovered and I was still like really struggling with my eating disorder, I just want to be told a magical number or something that would solve things, but really there is no number, and it's going to be different for everyone. You need to be eating a consistent amount of calories that meet your needs, likely in a surplus if you are malnourished or underweight for yourself, and that is going to be so different for each different person. Someone said how many steps per day. Again, so different for every individual. I roughly hit like 10,000 steps a day. Some running days that are big, or like big days, might get closer to like 15,000 or more. But I'm also not afraid now to have a day if I don't hit 10,000 steps. When I was like really disordered in lots of behaviors, like obviously eating but also exercise behaviors, I would feel so stressed if I didn't get my 10,000 steps a day. I remember like one time it was 10 minutes to midnight and I ran around the block because I was like, I need to get 10,000 steps, and that's just ridiculous. Now if I have a day where I don't get 10,000 steps, I'm like, it doesn't matter. Like my Garmin streak doesn't actually mean anything. I think of it as a good thing, like, oh, that's a good deload for my foot because, you know, tomorrow I'm hurdling. So very different for every individual, and again, like it depends on your energy needs. If you are very active, then you'll need to eat more to compensate. How long did it take you to recover your period? Did you have to reduce your exercise? So I lost my period in 2017 in like October. That was the last period I had, and then I regained it in June 2023. But I wasn't actively trying to recover. I would say from the time that I like got to the weight that I've maintained since, and it's not very different than the weight I was when I was underweight, but it was a healthier weight for me. The weight that I got to, that I got a period at, I was probably there for, or even like getting signs and symptoms, maybe like 5-6 months, maybe more like 6 months. I'd probably say 6 months at least. Actually, now I think about it, I felt like I was healthy enough to get a period end of last year, and I got it in June, so I'm gonna say like 7-ish months. Like I felt like, I just knew. I just felt like I was like, I feel like fertile, I feel like I'm getting symptoms, I feel like this is a healthy weight for me. I don't feel like I need to push to gain more weight. I feel like if I maintain this weight, a period will come at this weight, and it did, and it took about 6 or 7 months. And this is something my dietitian that I was working with did say. She said, like, if you feel like you're at a weight that you're healthy at and you maintain it for a period of time, and then a period doesn't come, that might indicate that you need to get heavier. But if it does come, then it might just indicate you just needed time. And in saying that, some people might get a period faster if they do gain more weight than where, you know, their body might have got a period out if they stayed there. But I think it's all about what feels healthy to you. Like if you're like, I feel energetic, I feel like I'm eating a lot and I have good energy and I'm thriving, I'm getting signs of a period, then you know you feel healthy. Whereas if you felt, you know, before when I was not eating enough, I felt weak, I felt frail, I felt lethargic, I knew obviously that was not enough fuel or energy for myself. And then did you have to reduce your exercise? I had periods where I did reduce training a little bit, but all in all I'm going to say no, because I trained pretty hard throughout that whole last 2 years and still regained a period. So I wouldn't say you have to reduce exercise, but you have to compensate for exercise. So if you are training hard and burning more energy, you have to eat more energy. And if you can't eat that extra energy to make up for burning the energy and still get to a surplus, then you would have to reduce exercise. What were the signs you were about to get your period back? I did discuss this in the video where I talked about that I got my period back. Actually, I did discuss it in detail, so check that out. But basically signs were energy, feeling like really healthy, feeling strong and like performing better at training, not breaking down as much, getting discharge. I don't remember them off the top of my head, but having more libido, being more like relaxed and a happier mood, like rather than, and this isn't just a period coming back, this is just being nourished, well nourished in general. When I was undernourished, malnourished and starving essentially, I was quite apathetic and almost emotional sometimes, but also really sad. I don't know, that's also just like mental health recovery in general. But yeah, check that other video out because I went a lot more into signs. Has your period been regular since it came back? It actually has, which surprised me because I thought it would take a while to get regular. I've had 3 recovery periods and they're all regular. Like I got one of the apps, Flow is the app that I got as soon as I got my period, and the next one was like bang on schedule. The 3rd one was early by a few days, and the 4th one is a bit late, like it should be here now. But the last 2 weeks have been like, I went to Bali with Danny, it's been just a bit hectic, schedule's been thrown out of whack, and I also had to get a procedure yesterday, so I had to fast for like 40 hours before that. It was horrible. It was horrible. It was not a good experience. I was not in a good way. So like there's been a lot of things that can like impact getting periods. So I've had 3 recovery periods that were all regular, and the 4th one I'm gonna say is gonna come this week. Let's hope. Do you have to eat 2,500 plus calories like they all say you have to? Question mark. Again, if your energy needs require that, then yes. But I don't think I always did, and I still regained a period back. Have you started eating less now that you have it back? No, because I'm just eating for my needs, and I would say, like, as I said, I've been the same weight for like 7 months and then got a period back. So I've been eating at maintenance, not in a surplus, to regain a period. But I did have to get to my healthy weight for me first. And then the other thing is just constantly fueling. So not having, and this is something I went into detail about in just being constantly well fueled. Were you worried when you first lost it? Question mark. I'm gonna say no, because like I was kind of like, whatever. Like I didn't care enough. I was very apathetic to the situation. I didn't have enough urgency to regain it. And that's one of the reasons I took myself to get a bone scan, because I was like, I need to give myself a sense of urgency, because I know I want to get better. I know I want to run better, and I know I need to get a period back. And I know I want to have kids one day when I'm older. Recovering is obviously really hard, so sometimes I would do things to give myself a sense of urgency. I'm trying to sit up higher so the sun isn't like annoying, but I'm just wondering if period means the same. Oh fuck, some idiot is just like, we tend not to get a cake for it. Well, do you know what? Tattooed _ collector _ that's a personal problem. You can go and buy your own cake like I did. Main tip for period recovery in runners / distance runners / athletes. Main tip would be, I'm going to give you 2. Eat for your needs, and if you've lost a period and you're underweight for your healthy weight where you should be getting a period at, eat in a bit of a surplus. And 2, constantly fuel around training. So make sure you are never like going into those deficits. How did you get your period back while continuing to exercise? Making sure I was fueled. Anything that I'm not going into lots and lots of detail with, it's because I went into lots and lots of detail with in that previous video. Symptoms you experience while recovering, physiological and psychological. Do you know what? I actually didn't have a lot of the symptoms that people, I guess, complain about. I guess I had a little bit of extreme hunger sometimes, but I really didn't experience stuff like that if I properly fueled. I guess this is again the type of things that were starting to happen as I was getting closer to getting a period, so like discharge and stuff like that, and just like changes in my mood. I guess psychologically I definitely felt more emotional, but in a good way, like lots of good positive emotions. And just like happier, so, and more relaxed, and more myself, like more like fun and chaotic and energetic like I used to be pre losing a period. Tips for someone recovering their period: what can speed up recovery? To speed up recovery would be to eat in more of a surplus. You could either eat additional calories, or you could also reduce energy output to create that surplus. How can someone recover while still doing intense endurance exercise? I would also say something I haven't pointed out enough is getting enough sleep. So a lot of sleep and fueling. Did you ever experience a plateau, and how did you overcome it? I guess for years I often had recovery plateaus where I would kind of try to get better, get, you know, a little bit to a healthier weight, but then kind of go back into old ways or never really follow through with recovering. And I think one of the things that helped me overcome it is booking myself in to see a dietitian and getting external support, or holding myself accountable in some way like that, like giving myself a goal to get to a certain weight by the end of the week, or eat a certain amount, and just like, yeah, giving myself targets, or getting that support. How did your blood work change, e.g. hormones? All the kind of like female hormones started to increase. So like luteinizing hormone, follicular hormone, all of those type of things. Was your approach similar to reverse dieting, brackets slowly increasing food intake? I would say yes, purely because I mentally struggled to increase my energy intake, so it took like time to slowly increase and then be mentally coping with that, and then get used to that, and then slowly increase again. So it ended up being like that, but it wasn't like set out to be like that. How do you deal with getting sick as an athlete? Do you get anxious that you can't train? I did when I was really disordered. I'd be anxious not to exercise enough. Now I get more like, oh, it sucks because I don't want to miss training because the season's coming and I really want to run well and every session like counts. But also I'm very aware that like getting sick happens, it's normal. And I know, like, for example, having a few days off is going to be more beneficial long term than trying to run myself into the ground. Like, I'd rather have a bit of time off, get better, and then get back into training. But then I do still train sick because sometimes you just kind of can deal with it a little bit if it's not too bad, or if you do have to have a few days off and you're still not better, kind of like trying to get back into it, but being kind to yourself. Are you completely happy that you got it back, or is there part of you that still wants to be sick? That's actually a good question. I'm 100% extremely happy that I got it back. I was ecstatic when I got it back. Like when I got my cake, if you saw that vlog, it was just a really good time. It's something I've wanted for so long. I do know in the past, like years ago, I used to be like, I want to get a period back, but deep down I was like, I'm scared to get a period back because it means I have a healthy amount of body fat. But I don't feel like that at all now. Now I feel like I have a period back, I'm not compromised, like I'm healthy, and health is wealth. Health is so important to me, and it means I can improve in my sport, and I'm definitely mentally and physically both recovered because no part of me wants to be sick again anymore at all. Did you get a second one? Lol, yes. Is your period regular now? Yes. Has it come back consistently every month or still a bit irregular? These are kind of all very similar, so I'm going to just like answer ones that are different. Were there any specific foods you ate or avoided in order to get your period? No. Again, it's just like getting enough energy in. I did introduce a lot more foods that I had cut out when I was disordered, like dairy foods. Definitely having enough carbohydrates though is important. Does sleep play a role whether or not your body is able to produce a period? Sleep plays a role in almost everything important to your body, so I will say yes. I highly recommend reading this book if you sleep, which means everyone, because it tells you a lot. And I've always valued sleep, and this book doesn't make me value it any more, but it does scream how important sleep is, because I love sleep and value sleep. I value sleep so much, and if you don't, read this book and your mind will change, and if your mind doesn't change, then you don't value your life or health. Why do some doctors recommend not exercising when trying to regain a period? Probably because you are burning more energy when you're exercising, and getting a period back, you're trying to restore energy. You're trying to tell your body that it's safe and able to get a period back. So if you stop exercising and you keep eating the same way that you're eating, your body will probably be able to get more energy in. And that is why I've said many times, because I exercise a lot and kept exercising, I had to make sure I made up for that with food. Has your flow been really heavy, irregular, or weird stuff? Question mark. It hasn't. It's been very light, but it was always very light in the past anyway. So how not to fall back into a trap of not eating enough? Just got mine back after 5 years. I think, again, it depends where you're at in your like mental health side of things, recovery, but having support and constantly being on the ball and not getting complacent and maintaining the habits that you've created. So for me, like, I really want to maintain health, and a lot of the time focusing on my performance and training and recovery in that sense helps me. But if you're not an athlete, I think it's important to keep remembering why you value your health and like how far you've come in maintaining the new habits. Do you feel stronger in training now that you have your period back? Absolutely. Like, I don't know if it's placebo, but both in the gym and running wise, I just feel like a different human. I feel healthy, I don't feel frail, and I feel much stronger, and I've definitely had big training improvements in my running fitness in the last few months. So I don't know if that's just related to training in general or a little bit of placebo and having my period, but I'm going to say yes. Did becoming happier help, or did that come with regaining it? I don't know. I feel like a bit of both. It goes both ways. Like, I definitely feel like I was mentally really happy the last year, and it probably did help with getting it back, but I also think regaining it, no, I don't know. I don't think it's the period. I think it's the mood and hormonal changes as a result of that, and I think it's a little bit of both. Were you worried if it would affect your training? I was worried lack of a period was affecting my training, so getting a period back positively affects my training. What's something you forgot about having your period that surprised you? I like this question. That is a good question, because it never really affected me that much. Like, when I was in school and had a period, I remember getting period cramps like twice ever. And I would always forget that I had it until I went to the bathroom, and then I was like, oh my god, I have my period. So I guess just like feeling like that again, like being like, oh my gosh, I'm on my period, like I'm bleeding. Yeah. Would you ever intentionally drop your calories if you wanted to lean out for comp season? I'm not bodybuilding. If I don't know if this is a bodybuilding or aths comment, I'm not really the type of athlete who isn't lean in winter, because I know a lot of athletes, like, they might carry a lot of weight in winter and then they drop weight in summer or like in important comps. But I usually am a type of athlete who's just like naturally kind of lean most times in the year. So I would say probably not, because I don't think it would help my running any further. Do you find that since you've gained healthy weight, you've been able to run faster times? I think so, but a lot of my training, because we're in winter, hasn't been speed stuff. Also a reason I've kind of moved coaches recently. So wait and see. What would you say the hardest part of recovery is? Definitely the mental side of changing your neural connections in your brain around eating and food and your relationship with that. So it's a process. What are your thoughts on birth control? Okay, I've never had birth control myself, and I don't ever want to, and I don't feel like I have enough knowledge to make judgments on it. But personally, I don't like how I don't want to say artificially, but like, I don't like how it's not natural, like, and you're kind of like providing the hormones for your body to have a cycle. I don't think it's healthy if you aren't at a healthy weight or you've struggled with amenorrhea before, because it masks lack of a period by giving you the hormones to have a period, even if your body naturally isn't producing a period. So it's not ideal if you want to know if you're physically functioning optimally, because it will mask if you're not. And yeah, personally, I just know I want to know my body naturally is having a regular cycle and is doing its thing, and its hormones are being produced naturally rather than having that through a pill. Approx, how much food did you need? Oh, like, it just depends. I know I definitely need over 2,000 calories consistently, but it's going to be so different for everyone. Is too much walking going to hinder recovery? Basically, too much walking is just using more energy, so it will hinder recovery if it's creating a deficit by burning more energy that you don't make up for nutritionally. What's the best way to get your period back while continuing to run? I'm a runner and don't want to quit running. I didn't quit running either. You don't have to, but you need to prioritize your nutrition around training and make sure you're a healthy weight and you're well nourished. How long do you have to maintain your higher weight before regaining your period? So I didn't get to a higher weight. I just had to get to a healthy weight for me. And as I said, it's been like 7 months maintaining my weight, but it wasn't like an overshoot weight, which I don't think is a bad thing. If I know some people go down that path where they want to overshoot their weight to regain a period faster and then naturally their body go back to their set point. But for me, I just wanted to get to where I felt healthy at, and it worked, so I'm very happy with it. Has your preference changed? I actually have no idea what that means. Does it mean food preference? Because if it does, it hasn't. Is it true your body performs optimally athletically when you have a period? Okay, so having a cycle, yes, because that means your body's optimally functioning. There are points in your cycle where you do perform better because of the hormones that you are releasing. So yeah, there are times in your cycle where you have more strength, you have more energy, you will perform better. And obviously if you have your period, then you have a cycle. So whether it's in like the luteinizing phase or the follicular phase, I'm not 100% sure, I don't remember exactly, but obviously if you don't have a period, your body doesn't go through those hormonal changes in a cycle, so you won't perform as well. How to approach eating? That's so broad. That's so broad. How to approach eating, I would say meet your energy requirements, eat regularly, eat enough carbohydrate at each meal, that is, and just regularly eat. Don't go long periods of time without food. Have 3 meals, 3 snacks or more a day, and make sure if you're training, you're having a pre and post training meal. Has your body physically changed in any way since regaining a period? Honestly, no. I feel like if anything, I've become more muscular, and probably because I am able to train better. Have you gotten a recovery period yet? I think that means like a second one. Surprisingly, very consistent. The others are quite similar to most of the ones I've answered, so I'm going to wrap this video up here. I hope this was helpful. If you are in your recovery journey, keep going and continuing to do the right things to heal your body and nourish your body to regain a period. Trust me, life is so much better when you are healthy, both physically and mentally. If you guys like this video, please give it a like and please subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!